Hey everyone, Crystal Gamer here with a new episode of Rags to Riches starring Katerina Loverly. For anyone new to the program, we've been following the life of our homeless girl, Katerina. She's been living in a tent on the shores of Windenburg, making most of her money through fishing along the coast or busking downtown. But she was feeling a bit nostalgic and decided to visit her hometown of Brindleton Bay. And so we last left her standing in front of her childhood home there, a home that she fully expected would be occupied by a new family since she left it years ago. But it appeared to be completely abandoned and in disrepair. So Katerina decided that she couldn't just leave without looking around. She had to at least see what the place looked like. So she walked around back to see what she could see. And everything was overgrown. The pool looked more like an algae-infested pond than a pool. Definitely nothing she'd want to swim in now. But beyond that, the first thing that she saw was Max's grave. Dad had buried him in the backyard under the hawthorn tree, and it was still there. And so were her memories of him. Goodness, she missed him. He was such a good boy. She shook it off and turned her head, looked over and saw the old swing set and monkey bars were still standing. More memories came flooding back, all the times her mom used to push her on the swing when she was little. And then she and her best friend Danny used to have contests where they'd try to swing as high as they could. She missed Danny too. They never saw each other again after Danny's dad got stationed overseas, and Katerina had no idea where in the world she might be now. But she started remembering them hanging out at Danny's house. Danny's family had this awesome slip and slide that they used to love in the summer months. Man, that thing, they had so much fun on that. Finally, she turned back to the house and looked at it. I wonder, she thought. She used to sneak in and out of the house at night when she was a teenager. Why not now? She did leave a lot of stuff behind when she left. Maybe she could get in and get some of it back. Of course, it wasn't her house anymore, but, minor technicality. It'd definitely be breaking and entering, but she hesitated for a minute and just thought, screw it. It's my old stuff. It's my old house. Who's going to care? It didn't look like anyone besides some graffiti artists had been by in quite a while anyway. But she still thought that it might make more sense to come back after dark. Besides, it was hot as hell in this heat wave, and she was thinking maybe she could go somewhere cool and grab a bite to eat. And the moment that crossed her mind, she got excited because she remembered there was this well-known local divey place that everyone in Brindleton Bay loved. It was called the Barnyard, and going there for the first time when you hit drinking age was like a rite of passage if you lived in Brindleton. But because she left long before she ever hit 21, she never did get to go there at all. She never had that awesome rite of passage. So without question, that was it. That would be where Katerina would go until after dark, and then she'd come back here and see about trying to get in the house. So she couldn't wait to see the Barnyard. Everyone said that it was super divey, but she knew that they had karaoke there, and she had heard that they had an open mic. Plus, they were known for having some of the best greasy spoon food around. When she got there, she knew instantly what people were talking about. The vibe hit her as soon as she walked in the door, and she loved it. And yeah, it was definitely divey, but it was cool as hell, and the food smelled amazing, and she was starving. So she ordered right away. She went to the restroom and checked out the place while she was waiting for her food. And she saw that they had the open mic area upstairs, but even better than that, she found out that they had a designated busking area in the back, which was really awesome. Now, it was outside, and it was super hot outside, but it was in the shade at least. So she was thinking that this might not be too bad. So she ate her food and she went out back to busk for a while, and she ended up having such a good time that she stayed longer than she planned. But finally, she went back to her old house. She broke the back bathroom window enough to get her hand in and to unlock it. Once she managed to get inside, which was a feat in and of itself, it was incredibly hot in there. It felt like a sauna, and it was very dark. She was happy she brought her lantern. It would have been seriously spooky in there otherwise. And that was something that she hadn't really thought of, what the house would feel like now at night. abandoned and dark. She didn't ever stay in the house without her parents. Her parents were always there her whole life. So this was the first time that she was ever in the house this late at night without anyone else. So she quickly made her way through the house to the back door to open it. For some reason, just having the house open to the back made her feel better than being enclosed in that place. But the back door was right next to the basement stairs. And that was one of the places that would probably have a lot of stuff that she left behind. And in fact, thinking back, she didn't clean out the basement at all before she left. And part of the reason was she kind of hated the basement. And so she stood there for a second, contemplating going down those stairs. And she just stood looking at that pit of darkness and remembering how afraid she was of that when she was young. And even now that she was older, looking down there, the place still gave her the creeps. But she said, okay, I'm an adult now. She took a deep breath and she made her way down anyway. She set her lantern down and looked around. There were a lot of webs and spiders that were grossing her out, but there was also a lot of stuff for her to go through. She saw an extra cooler right away, and she was hopeful she might find some other things that she could use as well. She wished she could take her dad's old punching bag, but there was no way to fit that in her back pocket. But she rummaged through the other stuff, picking up quite a few things. Next was the attic. She had a lot of stuff to go through there too. She worked all through the night to do it all. In the end, she took almost everything she could carry that she thought she might have a chance to sell. By the time she finished, it was sunrise, and Katerina was beyond exhausted. Plus, it was still so hot. So she ended up passing out on one of the old sofas that was still downstairs. But after only a couple of hours, she woke up to a dog, a wet dog. For a second, she thought it was Max, but then she realized where she was and when she was, and that she had forgotten that she left the back door wide open. She's kind of happy she did too. This dog was beautiful. "Who are you?" she said to him as she gave him some scratches and pets. She didn't see any collar on him, but he seemed to be lively and in good health. But Brindleton was known for its strays, though. Strays that people who lived in Brindleton often made sure were well taken care of, even if they didn't take him in. She figured he was probably one. After getting a little attention from her, he scurried off, so she just went about her business, cleaning out the rest of the house and taking anything she thought she could. She kept the door open for airflow. Even after he left, the whole place smelled so stale. When she finally made it to the upstairs, she found some old postcards and mementos left in her room, and her bed. She couldn't believe she crashed on the sofa earlier. She had completely forgotten that her old bed was still here. It wasn't any great shakes, but it was definitely better than the sofa downstairs and beat the hell out of sleeping in her tent. So she slept the remainder of the day away, on top of the covers, since there was no electricity here, which meant no AC, and it was sweltering in the house. But hell, she was so tired, it didn't even matter. When she woke up, it was almost nightfall, and she just sat on the bed for a minute thinking. Should she just stay in Brindleton Bay? In this house? Would anyone know? Would anyone care? Her new little friend came back and interrupted her thoughts. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he was the answer. This was twice now. She couldn't just send him away. She had to at least go down to the pet shop and ask if anyone had reported a missing dog. If your dog went missing in Brindleton, that's the first place you called. So if this little guy belonged to someone, they'd know. She looked at the time. It was already too late to head down there now. So, well, what was one more night? She fired up the ancient grill in the yard, and wouldn't you know, it worked. Unbelievable. So she fed the two of them, and then they just hung out together, playing, cuddling, her singing for him for a while under the stars. He reminded her a lot of Maximus, though they looked nothing at all alike. But he was friendly, and he was smart like Max was. She wouldn't admit it to herself, but there was a part of her that started hoping that no one reported a missing dog. Next morning, she and her trusty new friend left and went downtown to Doggy Delight. In very short order, she found out that no one had reported him missing. So now what? She already knew what. Everything in her told her that he was meant to be with her. So, well, now what shall we call you? She thought for a moment. How about Treasure? You're the treasure I didn't expect to find in my old house, after all. Tears filled her eyes as she hugged him. She didn't know how she was going to take care of him. Hell, she felt like she could barely take care of herself, still with no home to even live in. But they were going to be a family now, and she would figure out a way for them somehow. And that's it for this week's episode. Please don't forget to hit that like button and give me a share before you head out. And if you have the time, leave me a comment and tell me what you think about how Katerina's story's going. And speaking of time, thanks so much for spending some of yours with me today, and I hope to see you all back again next time. Bye now.